Hello, my dear friends. There's a great enigma about this week's Parsha. Well, while Bilam was traveling to annihilate the Jewish people by cursing them, so on the way he passed through, he was riding his donkey and he passed through a vineyard, and a malach suddenly appeared with a sword in his hand and it was ready to kill Bilam. Bilam did not see the malach, but his donkey did, and the donkey veered off the path 3 times. Bilam was enraged as the donkey was not listening to him, and he was oblivious to the presence of the malach, and Bilam was hitting and whacking his donkey. And finally, Vayiftach Hashem es piyos, and God opened the mouth of the donkey, and the donkey, what did he say to Bilam? Lama hikisani, hey, Bilam, why are you hitting me? So Bilam answered, Ki salalt me, you know I'm hitting you because you're a terrible donkey. You humiliated me in front of the Sarai Midian and Moab. And that's what you did. If I had a sword, Bilam says, I would murder you. I would kill you. I don't know, you don't murder animals, but I would kill you or slaughter you on the spot. So then Hashem allowed Bilam to see the malach, and Bilam said, oh, I didn't realize that you were standing there with a sword. So the question is, it's an enormous miracle that God allowed an animal to talk. Animals don't talk. In fact, some of the Mefarshim say that even though the donkey talked, it wasn't really the donkey talking. It was like a ventriloquist. God put a voice into the donkey's mouth, whatever it was. The donkeys don't talk. So why? When I was younger, there was, and I'm dating myself, those of you who are my age will know, there was a TV show called Mr. Ed, the talking horse. Okay, so there was a talking horse, but there were no talking donkeys. Why did Hashem allow the donkey to talk to Bilam? So you might say it was because he wanted the donkey to tell Bilam, stop, don't look what you're doing. What you're doing is wrong. He wanted to get him to stop. But that is not a valid answer, because right after the donkey spoke to Bilam, God allowed Bilam to see the angels. So why did God have to have the donkey talk to Bilam? God should have right away allowed the Bilam to see the angel, and he would have desisted. What was the purpose in having the angel speak to Bilam? So the Mefarshim grapple with this. The Ramban says it was a lesson to Bilam. Bilam was proud of his power of speech. He wasn't proud only, he was conceited. He boasted that he has a power of speech. So God was showing Bilam that speech, the power of speech belongs to Kadosh Baruch Hu, not to man. God allows man to have the power of speech. And just as God allowed the donkey to have the power to speak, so God could take away the power of speech also. So don't be so secure in your ability to curse people, because God could easily take away that power. That was a lesson that he was supposed to learn, that God wanted him to learn from the fact that the donkey was able to speak. Rabbeinu Bechayis says a little differently, and that was that God was showing Bilam how foolish he is, because even the donkey recognized that it was so highly unethical and improper to curse the Jewish people. And if the donkey could realize that then certainly Bilam, who was a prophet, should have been able to understand that on his own. I want to suggest another approach, and that is the following. After October 7th occurred, and the brutality of Hamas during the massacre on September 7th is just beyond comprehension. They did it in a way to cause the most pain and suffering. They slaughtered children in front of their parents in front of their children, husbands and wives in front of each other. They raped girls in front of their husbands, or in front of their spouses, young women in front of their husbands. They raped older women. They dissected the people. They cut them up and dismembered them. They put people in ovens. They burned them alive in their houses. They did whatever they could to intensify the suffering. And then they took hostages, and the hostages, there are still young children and elderly and in between, that the enormity of the pain that they are experiencing, the hostages and their families is just beyond belief. And it's hard to understand, how could a human being have so little compassion? They don't feel anything. The Hamas, the brutality is off the charts. So the answer is an obvious one, and that is that in the eyes of Hamas, the Jews are not human beings. They're not human creatures. there was an article written or an interview done of somebody who was the son of one of the leaders of Hamas, and then he realized that Hamas was an evil organization. He left them, but he said that when he was growing up, he was indoctrinated to believe that Jews are like monkeys and that they have a third foot. And then when he finally was able to leave when he was a little bit older, and he got work papers to work in Israel, he's waiting to see the third foot on the Israelis, and he was stunned. Where's the third foot? That's what they believe. They actually believe it. The Nazis, the reason why the Nazis were able to be such beasts is because the same thing is because they demonized the Jewish people. They treated them. They believe that they're the scum of the earth, that they're like vermin, and that's why they didn't treat them as human beings. And that's the case with Bilam also. Bilam was going to curse the entire Jewish nation. He wanted to eradicate everybody in the Jewish nation. What did he have? The millions of people were going to die. What did he have from it? So he was going to be paid handsomely by Midian and Moab. So for millions of dollars, what human being would want to have tens of millions by that time in the Midbar? Maybe there were tens of millions, I don't know the exact number. But what human being would want to cause so much pain and suffering to so many human beings and annihilate an entire people? So the answer is because in the eyes of Bilam, the Jewish people were dehumanized. They had no human value as far as Bilam was concerned. So I think that perhaps the reason why God allowed the donkey, the Chamor of Bilam, to talk is because the Asan, Vayiftach Hashem es pi Asan, was to teach Bilam that when you demonize others, when you think other people are less than animals, then you become the same. However you think about other people is how you are yourself. Chazal say in Pirkei Avos, who's dignified? Somebody that dignifies other people. If you treat people with dignity, then you become dignified. But if you treat people with abuse, if you humiliate people and you denigrate them, then you too are denigrated. A person's level of kavod is commensurate to how he treats others. If you treat others in a horrible fashion, then the perpetrator becomes dehumanized as well. So the Rebbeinu Shalom was saying to Bilam that you're no better than the talking donkey. The Rabbeinu Bachia points out that when the donkey said to Bilam, "Why'd you hit me?" So Bilam responded, "Ki eslalpi," because you made fun of me. So Rabbeinu Bachia says it was like he was having a conversation with his friend. You're talking to each other, having a conversation back and forth. There's no surprise, no alarm, no shock, no wonderment. How's it possible that an animal is talking to me? No, So Bilam, he fit right in. he's chummy with the donkey. It's his best friend. He's having a conversation. Well, the donkey was angry at him, but actually Chazal say that he had a conjugal relationship with the donkey. So this was his buddy. He's having a conversation with his buddy, back and forth. So Rebbeinu Shalom was saying, you know what, Bilam, you don't think that because you have the power of speech, you're an exalted person. On the contrary, you're like a talking donkey. You're no more than your own donkey. It's an animal talking. So you're the same way. You're a donkey that has the power to speak. But that's the kind of person you are, because your hatred for the Jewish people and your desire to annihilate them, that dehumanizes who you are as well. And that would explain Rashi. The Chumash says that Bilam hit the donkey. He showed that Bilam hit the donkey. Said to Bilam, "Why did you hit me? Zeh shalosh regalim. Why did you hit me 3 times?" So Rashi says there's a significance of a regal, besides meaning times. A regal also is a yontif. There's shalosh regalim in the Jewish calendar: Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. So the animal was invoking shalosh regalim. Why? The donkey was invoking shalosh regalim. Why? Because the donkey was saying, you're trying to destroy a people that observe the Shalosh Regalim. And that's why they specifically use that language of Zeh Shalosh Regalim. So the Mefarshim Law, the commentaries ask, why does the donkey bring up the Shalosh Regalim? So I was thinking, Fagin and I, one of the tours that we did this past week, since we're in Eretz Yisrael, is we went on a tour with a terrific tour guide, Shmuel der Lacher, who's a close friend of the Tifrin Buns, and Shmuel, he took us to many places, but he was talking about the Shalosh Regalim, and he posed it as a question. He said he doesn't even know the answer, the exact answer, but 3 times a year the Jews had to be Ola Regel. And to be Ola Regel, we were talking about the fact that wherever you go in Israel, you need to have water. And they had cisterns that they used for sources of water. But he said, when the Jews were Ola Regel, they took their whole family. And how long does it take to be Ola Regel? It depends how far away you live from Yerushalayim. They had to go by foot to Yerushalayim. That's why they called Ola Regel. They went by foot to Yerushalayim. How long does that take? Well, it depends how far. It could take 2 days, but it could take 2 weeks to get to Yerushalayim. So besides the fact that you have to close down your business and where you're going to have parnasa during that period, that you have to go and you have to come back and you have to stay there. So you could be away 3 weeks at a time or 4 weeks. But besides that inconvenience, but how do you have enough supplies for such a long journey? Where are you going to get water? Everybody's going to be dying. It's so hot in Eretz Yisrael. Everybody warns me, make sure you drink plenty of water in Israel. It's so hot. The sun beats down. So where did they have, as they were traveling to Yerushalayim, where did they get water from along the way? And where did they get food? And they had to take animals to bring sacrifices. And they had to have changes of clothing, and they had little kids with them, and they had to have diapers and fresh wipes, and who knows what else, and baby bottles. There's so many things that you need to travel, even for adults. We pack our suitcases, they're bursting, but to take your whole family with young little kids, and they have multiple kids. How did they manage to do that logistically? How was it possible? So Shmuel said he doesn't really know exactly how they did it. But one thing we could say is that in spite of how difficult it was, they did it because they were so committed. They were so inspired to come to the Beis HaMikdash, to bring karbanos. And when there's a will, there's a way. They managed to overcome all the obstacles. So perhaps the donkey is alluding to Bilam. When the donkey said, "You hit me, you shalosh regalim." You're trying to uproot a nation that keeps shalosh regalim. He's saying, you're no better than I am. You're like a talking donkey. But the Jewish people are giants of the spirit. Look how they manage 3 times a year, not once in a lifetime. They go to Mecca 3 times a year. They uprooted their whole life and they took their whole family, because they were so inspired to go to Yerushalayim and the chutzpah that you're trying to destroy such a people. I've asked many times, or pointed out many times, how do we respond to the terrible tragedies? Still going. It's over 9 months, and the hostage situation not resolved, and the soldiers dying almost every day, and then the missiles are still flying. What's our response? So I would say one of the responses is, Hamas, they've lost their Tzelem Elokim. They no longer have a right to say that they are a Tzelem, that they're created in the image of God. They've dehumanized themselves by dehumanizing others. And we have to go to the opposite extreme. We have to treat everybody with tremendous covet. The Jewish people are such a fantastic nation, and it's not only Jews you have to treat with covet. The Gemara says that you have to say hello to everybody that you see a person on the street. You have to say hello, a Jew or non-Jew alike. You have to treat human beings with tremendous respect, and that'll be our response to Hamas and to all the other. It's not just Hamas, the anti-Semitism around the world. The same thing. All of them have forfeited the extreme anti-Semitism. They forfeited their dignity and the right to be called human beings. So we have to go to the opposite extreme. We're not going to harm anybody. I'm not saying that because people behave that way, we should inflict pain on them. I'm just saying that they've lost the right to be called Bnei Adam, And we need to go the opposite extreme and treat people in the most dignified fashion, and especially our brothers and sisters, Klal Yisrael, who are an exalted people. We have to give them the respect that they deserve and be super sensitive to the dignity of every individual. Thank you for listening and have a good Shabbos.